CBS Fox Video presents a home video preview.
This is an Eyewitness News 8 update. The 102nd Congress convened today in Washington. The Persian Gulf crisis tops the list of problems that it must deal with. A homeless Las Vegas man's in critical condition after being burned in a brush fire early this morning. And arrest warrants are expected by tomorrow for two people who ran a puppy mill near Wells in northern Nevada. The couple abandoned more than 100 dogs and other animals without food or water last week. More news later on Southern Nevada's 24-hour news source.
This is a Fox News update. Tight security in Los Angeles for an unusual field trip. Jurors on O.J. Simpson got a first-hand look at the crime scene. Germany is marking the 50th anniversary of the Allied bombing of Dresden. 35,000 Germans died in air raids and fires. In Washington, President Clinton met with Mideast leaders. Israel and the PLO pledged to get stalemated peace talks back on track. In New York, the latest kid stuff at the Toy Fair. The trade show opens on Monday. This has been a Fox News update.
Features on him that your letters and calls, those of you in the community who cared about Nev, were a source of support for him. Our condolences to his wife Cindy and his children Scott and Ashley. He was beloved by this community, by us, and most of all, of course, by his family. Nev Chandler was 47 years old.
You know, while he battled cancer, he came back every chance that he could. He worked all the time. I think he truly loved Cleveland sports. This is where he wanted to be, in here doing it whenever he could, and he was great at it every time that he did it.
Certainly didn't want you to feel sorry for him, and I'll tell you what, the memory that will stick with me is when I started here at News Channel 5 a little less than 3 years ago, and I was filling in for the big show, a weeknight show, and I was a little nervous, and Nev looked over to me, and Nev is not one to give compliments unless he thinks you deserve them, and I'm still talking in present tense here. He said, "You're going to be okay, kid, because I've seen you do it on the weekend, and you're going to be just fine. You're going to be all right. Stick with it." And when someone like Nev, who, you know, really was a giant, in my mind anyway, having grown up watching him, when he says that, it's something that you hold on to.
I remember Nev is a couple of times, you know, you could joke with Nev. Nev and I used to always compare ties for nothing else. We just used to always, and you could always pass him in the hall and in 5 seconds just have a nice conversation. But I remember the thing that the first month I was here, Tanya, I thought to myself, this man really knows sports, and he knows Cleveland sports. And not that that should be a surprise, but as you well know, this is a business where sometimes people wind up in places, maybe not for the reasons that they know it, but for some other reason. This man knew sports in this town better than anybody, and I think he showed that every time he did a sportscast, you know, for sure.
He wasn't a put-on. He was real. You know it because you watched him and you loved him. You may not have agreed with him all the time on some of his views with sports, but he was a strong man, and we will miss him. And having lost my own father, I really send my condolences out to his children and his wife, because it's rough, but you hold on to those good memories. And it sounds like a cliche phrase, but when you think of Nev, as Bob said it, you think of the cantankerous perfectionist. That's what he was. And
that's how we'll remember him. There was a wonderful piece that Ted Henry did to open our show that Bob Stevens will run coming up in Sports Sunday on Nev Chandler, and we invite you to stay around for that and Sports Sunday. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Hi, I'm Cece Carr, host of New Homes Las Vegas. For the greatest selection of outstanding new homes, please join us every Sunday at 7:30 a.m. We'll see you then.
Okay. His second term, from looming questions over Benghazi to the war in Afghanistan. Keep it here as our special coverage of Inauguration Weekend continues. Okay, now rewind that. President Obama in his second term, from looming questions over Benghazi to the war in Afghanistan. Keep it here as our special coverage of Inauguration Weekend continues. What is that? What is that?
I want to tell you that we are getting word from New York right now that another building has collapsed. I understand that this is a 47-story building. Do we have pictures of it? I guess that's smoke now. Correct me if I'm wrong in the control room, please. But is that smoke coming from this third collapse? Okay, that is what we're understanding, which makes sense because it looks like the sun is going down. But the heavy black smoke once again.
Look at that.
Hopefully at this point that building was empty, but I have no way of knowing that. But I'm hoping that enough people have cleared out of downtown Manhattan so that perhaps it wasn't as full as it might be normally around 5:30 on a Tuesday.
That information, of course, take a look at that right-hand side of the screen.
It's going down right now.
There it is.
Yep.
It went down right there. This is not from an explosion or an aircraft at this point. From our knowledge, the information that we have is that this is a building that probably was incredibly structurally damaged by the goings-on right next door at the World Trade Center and the two crashes that took place there.
Yeah, it is another building at the World Trade Center itself. Number 7, World Trade Center. Let's see. It had been evacuated this morning after the plane attack, so that's exactly what I was hoping. So structural damage, as you had suggested, probably led to this building going down.
We are seeing video today that only Hollywood could have produced at another time. We have seen the Twin Towers come apart right in front of our eyes. We've seen aircraft smashing into the side of them. Just now we saw another building as a part of that complex go down. It is so unbelievable, it is so surreal, that it's very hard for most Americans, most anyone in the world, to be able to grasp what is really taking place here.
This is a Fox News update. Tight security in Los Angeles for an unusual field trip. Jurors on O.J. Simpson got a first-hand look at the crime scene. Germany is marking the 50th anniversary of the Allied bombing of Dresden. 35,000 Germans died in air raids and fires. In Washington, President Clinton met with Mideast leaders. Israel and the PLO pledged to get stalemated peace talks back on track. In New York, the latest kid stuff at the Toy Fair. The trade show opens on Monday. This has been a Fox News update.
Garfield, you should learn something new each day. It'd lend purpose to this dreary existence of yours. I'm going to the store. When I come back, I want you to have learned something. I don't even want to know.
Oh no! Wet pants! You're dripping all over my chair! You guys dry off! Not on me! Yeah!
He's a proud man, Odie. He won't let us see him cry.